those of you newer to the sport haven't picked up on yet. Mike, I think you're going to teach us all a lot today about volleyball.
Well, I think one of the first lessons we're learning is how important a timeout could be. Kim Hudson takes that timeout at 10-5, everything going Notre Dame's way, and ever since that timeout, the Gamecocks have come out and really played great defense, won all the big rallies, and gotten themselves right back into game one.
Let's see what the Irish come up with out of their timeout. They can't even get it over the net. And South Carolina with Ford playing a huge role in the middle just denies that Notre Dame rally.
Dylan Heinzman, number 5 for Notre Dame, having a hard time out there on the outside. South Carolina's coming up with some big blocking schemes right now.
South Carolina with its first lead of the match. The Gamecocks have rallied back from 5 down to make it 17-16. Miss hit by Emily Loomis for Notre Dame, and South Carolina is now up 2.
That's just a simple misconnection there in the middle. The quick set, the riskiest of all the sets in volleyball.
So Brewster comes out of the back row. Point South Carolina, 3 straight points for the Gamecocks to make it 19-16.
And what Caitlin Ponso is doing so well right now is running that middle in transition, which means in the middle of the play, when you're making defensive plays, you still have the awareness to run that quick middle.
Vandenhol tries to run that down, but manages to avoid injury by pulling up before she hits the bleachers.
And that's a tough break again for South Carolina. That was an easy dink over the net, and we talked about their lack of ball control. Sometimes that was an easy ball to control, and they didn't do it.
Dink, explain that term.
Dink is just any open hand or soft shot that you try to place over the block into the open areas of defense.
That's something a kindergartner would probably come up with. You just call it a little dink. That's probably what they call it. Service error from Notre Dame. Loomis hit it into the net. Now there's the whistle.
And that was 4. The referee's holding up 4. That means the ball never crossed the plane of the net. Another point for South Carolina.
And here is the dink, tapping the ball with minimum force. Now you think that you're trying to slam the ball down every time. What are the situations where you just want a little dink to get the point?
I think the biggest situation is after you have slammed the ball down a few times. It's like a changeup for a pitcher in baseball. Once you've established the heater and you brought a bunch of hard spikes, then the defense is on their heels. That's when you break out the dink and catch the defense backpedaling.
And that's what South Carolina did on that last point. With a little dink over to Brewster. She knocks it out, and now the Gamecocks, after getting off to a very slow start, they trailed 10-5, are 8 points away from a win in game 1. Hit twice on the South Carolina side. I believe it was
Iris Santos with a little mismangled ball here. There you see the setter trying to catch the defense off. She's got to throw that ball down, and then the mishandled ball.
She tried the dink, didn't she?
That was it.
That was not a dink. Shaw Nicole wailed on that one, and yet it came right back in her face.
Carolyn Cooper and Burrell just putting up a nice solid block for Notre Dame on the outside.
22-19, the Irish trying to fight back, make it 22-20, because out of the back row, Morgan couldn't quite get to that one. And Meg Hennigan serving for the Irish. Now we said libero, defensive specialist, but obviously that does not pertain to serving. Hennigan's back there to take her turn at the service line.
There's a shank pass for South Carolina. Right when everything's starting to go their way, you see the momentum of volleyball can switch so drastically, and now they're having trouble with their ball control.
Hennigan just does sneak that one in, drawing some ire from the Gamecock fans as well as the South Carolina players.
Well, you see the players not putting up too much of a stink, so.
Well, some fans here didn't like the call, but it's a point for Notre Dame anyway. And the Irish.
Notre Dame having that free ball, just passing it too close to the net.
Tarudas tries to set it to the outside, instead in the middle. That's a free ball for Ford, and she makes the most of it, slamming it down.
Good aggressive play at the net again. Miscue for Notre Dame, trying to push that quick set, just missing it, and then the overpass for the easy slam.
What do you mean by free ball when we use that term, Mike?
Well, the free ball is any time the team isn't able to really attack. They just have to bump it over or pass it over. Then the opponent has to transition that free ball and run a good play offensively. And South Carolina's done that a couple times now here.
Santos with a nice set to the middle, but Notre Dame is there to dig it out with excellent defense. And Brewster from the back row spikes that one home. They've had some more trouble getting the ball to Lauren Brewster, the junior from Brentwood, Tennessee, who's the reigning Big East Player of the Week. We're going to hear more from Lauren Brewster as well as Mike Dodd as she explains her blocking technique that made her the top blocker in NCAA history.
Again, Brewster, not only a great blocker, a great attacker, and Notre Dame's got to find a way to get her involved, not just in the front row, but using her in the back row as well.
I said NCAA history. That's praising Brewster a little bit too much. She led the NCAA in blocking last year, but obviously among the best anywhere in the country. Ford has to fight to get that one over. A chance for Heinzman again. That's in. And that's point Notre Dame. Give Heinzman a kill.
And another point for Notre Dame. It's still not really good ball control. They have to bump that ball out, and Heinzman just kind of going up and hitting deep cross court.
Fourth kill of the match for Heinzman, and Notre Dame on a 3-0 run to take the lead in game 2, 8-5, make it a 4-point run.
And that's called a lift, where the cover of the block is just off the shoulder, and can't really see it that well from that angle, but good call by the official.
Not a clean up. Hanzo's block, but it comes back out of bounds, and that's what we were discussing earlier, that when the block is hit and then it lands out of bounds, that's point for the other side.
And that's called tooling the block. Whenever you go up and